Michael Brown was nominated by President Bush to a number of Homeland Security positions and twice confirmed by the Senate.
Earlier this evening, I spoke with Mike Brown, the director of the Federal Emergency Management Agency. He's coordinating disaster relief of a dozen federal agencies and the American Red Cross.
All right, former FEMA Director Michael Brown, thank you so much for joining us.
Michael Brown, former FEMA Director. Thank you, Michael, as always.
This portion of the Michael Brown Show on BCR is brought to you by Fire TKO FST, the highly effective, non-pressurized, portable fire suppression tool. Go to www.firetko.com to learn more.
And now, the Michael Brown Show on BCR.
So welcome to this episode of the Michael Brown Show on BCR on BravoCharlieReady.com. I'm really happy today to have Jeff Byard with us, who is with Team Rubicon. Team Rubicon is one of those NGOs that I've admired for quite some time, because a lot of NGOs don't know how to integrate with what's going on with state and local governments, and you guys are really good at it, Jeff. But before we get into all of that, tell me about your background, because you and I were reminiscing a little bit before we started about how you and I actually met, but we're both kind of embarrassed to admit that it's been a long time ago.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me, Director Brown. It's we met in 2004 in Hurricane
Wow.
Ida, which and sometimes seems like yesterday, but when we look at it as you just described it, we're a little grayer now and a little more worn than we were back then. But so my background going back to 2002 has been in emergency management. The majority of the time I was with the state of Alabama, the emergency management agency there. So worked my way up the ranks, ended up leaving the agency as the senior career married employee, executive operations officer. Had the opportunity. I did do a little bit of time after Katrina with FEMA. I was part of the recovery office. I led the recovery office there in Alabama under Gil Jameson, and then went back to the state. Had the opportunity to go back in a position that was just perfect for me. 2008, a gentleman that you know well and I know well became the state director, Brock Long, and
Right.
We've known each other before that, but just worked very well together. And then when Brock got nominated and confirmed as the administrator, looking back, it was a great opportunity. But he gave me a call and said, "Hey, would you want to come up and run response and recovery as the associate administrator?" And of course, what great honor to serve the American people.
Right.
And then, as an operator, to do my craft at the highest level. Now, this was, the vetting process. You go through that.
Oh, yes.
It takes you a while. But so I took my oath on September 1st, 2017. I kind of laugh about it now, having no clue what was right in front of us, right? At the time, Harvey hit, and that was the big one. And, then this storm called Irma was out there, and then Maria, and it just, we just hit the ground running. So opportunity to do that, spent about 2.5 years in that position, which, if you, for your listeners, it's a pressure, it is Brock definitely knows it. Those that are in there, it's every day. I think we hit like a disaster every third or fourth day, Mike, which is, when you look at the amount of.
Let's talk about that for a sec, because
Sure.
I think a lot of people, I know people in emergency management understand this, but people who maybe are on the periphery and they don't really have the involvement that someone like you and I might have. When you talk about a pressure cooker, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's once you hit the ground in DC, you don't stop. You just keep going all the time. Even if there's no disaster, there's something going on the Hill or in the White House or somewhere that you have to deal with. It's all the time.
Yeah, and then coming from my background, anybody. First of all, you just can't come to DC and understand it. There's no book to read about how to maneuver DC. There's no, you just you got to step into that arena and learn from that. But it's first of all, the first lesson is always true, right? All disasters are local, and you can get sucked into the ivory tower, so to speak, of DC, but you keep that in mind. And so whether it's a Cat 4 hurricane or a small flood in the Midwest, you try to look at that as everybody's house is important, which it is. So you put a lot of the pressure emergency managers put on themselves because we love what we do and we're passionate about what we do, Mike. And so, it's a zero fail game, but you're going to fail. It's a disaster, right? It's not an exercise. And, people don't evacuate when they should. And communities may not be prepared like they should. And I always tell people, you're never going to be disappointed in FEMA when you look at what really the intention of FEMA is. We come in, or FEMA comes in, and they support local efforts. But if you think about the amount of money that FEMA grants in the short amount of time, federal money, right, in 60, 90 days, millions and millions of dollars, there's not another federal agency out there that moves that quick and puts that much money into their community.
That's right.
Now, when you expect FEMA to be the first responder, it's not designed to do that, nor should it be. It's not a first response agency. So, you'll hit some issues there, but the pressure is always to get it right, to order just amount, to it's almost
which you can never do. You're always not quite enough or too much.
Right.
And no matter what you do, you're going to get criticized for it.
Exactly. And I operated under if I order too much, I'll go to Capitol Hill and somebody's going to yell at me.
Yep.
If we don't get it enough, I'll go to the other side of DC and they'll get rid of me. So I'd rather get yelled at than get rid of. So, but it's disasters are unique, Mike. That, but it really does bring people together. But DC is a different ball game than anywhere I've ever worked, and probably anywhere anybody else has ever worked for that matter. So.
Right, and that's why I wanted to kind of emphasize the 24-hour, 7-day-a-week, because it's easy to criticize, government civil service, but when it comes to those that are working in FEMA, it is just this constant pressure cooker, because no matter what you do, something's not. I mean, by the very nature of a disaster, something's going to be wrong, right? And so you're constantly just trying to do the best you can under horrific circumstances.
Yeah, it is. And look, the men and women at FEMA are outstanding. I've never been around a group of dedicated civil servants that, sometimes just take it on the chin, but they just keep marching to the sound of chaos. And, it's an honor to be with that group and make good friends with that group. And to this day, continue to interact. And it was neat being down in Hurricane Laura. I know we're going to talk about that, but, running into some of the incident management teams and regional administrators that I know, and getting an opportunity to even brief the administrator when he came down. Spent some time with Pete Gaynor and just telling them my insights of what we're seeing on the ground. And I think that that's the key, right? Nobody has the answer, but collectively we'll have the solution.
That's right. And you always, and to your point, you always need to know what's going on the ground.
Right.
If you don't have any sort of ground situational awareness, you're doomed to fail.
That's true. It's key. Situational awareness. You got to have it. As you know, it's one of the pillars of command. So you got to know what's going on, and you got to get it sometimes, unfiltered, right?
Right. That's right.
As it goes up, it gets more, sometimes the picture gets painted in a little better light, but, as a leader, you just want to know, it is what it is. And you got to know that so you can adjust your resources and your tactics to meet the needs.
That's exactly right.
This portion of the Michael Brown Show on BCR is brought to you by the Free Agent Mindset publication by Scott Jones. If you think that going out on your own and being self-employed is the riskier option in life, think again. Go to Amazon or www.thenimsstore.com and click on Software and Publications for more information.
So you did a great job. Oh, I did want to say one thing before we go to Team Rubicon. So when you were at FEMA, it was called the Office of Response and Recovery. So at some point did they combine response and recovery into one managerial group?
Yes, I believe under Administrator Fugate. I'm trying to think. I can't think of the exact year, but when I was the associate administrator, I had response. I had 4 directorates, Mike. You'll know. I had response. I had recovery. I had logistics, and I had field operations.
Okay.
So it was a very large directorate. I mean, 5,000 plus full time. You add in the reservists, we could be up to
right.
that up to 12 plus thousand. We managed the DRF, Disaster Relief Fund. So, I had a pretty big, budget there, and just always on the ready. And then, of course, you work, you work in conjunction with the 10 regions. So it was a lot coming. I joked and said, I rode to DC on the turnip truck and was like, wait a minute, what are we doing? But just awesome to do the craft at the highest level and support great administrators, Brock Long, Pete Gaynor, learn, the other federal agencies. It was very unique. I remember just real quick sitting in M1, the big conference room.
Yep.
And, I had seen it from the other side, Mike, from a
Sure.
state looking in, and
Yep.
it dawned on me, man, this is, kind of, you're at the big, the adult table. And I think this was, it may have been in between Irma and Maria or right after Maria. The team was pretty worn out, Mike. And, it was a weekend. We were the only ones, FEMA, the National Response Coordination Center up and running. And I remember telling the team, look around you. Every federal agency is looking at FEMA, and there's people looking out their windows going, damn, I wish I worked there, man. They had a cool job, So I said that to say, be appreciative of the positions that God puts you in to do this type of work, because there's people that want to do it. Not everybody can do it.
Right.
And some of those that want to do it, when they realize what they got themselves into, which they have, but that team, I never forget that day, just kind of, taking the pressure valve off and saying, hey, we're doing good work. We're doing good work.
I'm so glad you said that, because, Brock and I have had these conversations that it's the opportunity of a lifetime. You get to do some really good things. And as I've said to Brock, regardless of what happens in the aftermath, good or bad, you can always look on all the good stuff you did. And it doesn't make any difference what anybody else is saying. You know what you did that was good and it was helpful and helped American citizens. And I can tell you, Jeff, you will never lose that. You'll never lose that feeling.
Yeah, it was good.
This portion of the Michael Brown Show on BCR is brought to you by the Blue Cell LLC Training Division. With over 100 courses available within the areas of crisis, consequence, and incident management, the Blue Cell has online, virtual live, or in-person options. Go to www.thebluecell.com/training to sign up today.
Let's talk about Team Rubicon. See, I want to play Team Rubicon this way. I know a lot about Rubicon, but I'm not sure everybody that will listen to this podcast does. So give me a good download on what is Team Rubicon.
Right. So when I made the decision to leave FEMA, which was a very difficult decision, I could have remained in my position. Till the administration, whenever that change happens, whether it's now or 4 years from now. But I wanted to continue to do emergency management. I love it. I wanted to learn it from a different standpoint. And I first heard about Team Rubicon in 2016 when I was with the state. And so when the opportunity to join that team or have a discussion about that team and build something new here in DC came about, it was the right move. But Team Rubicon started in 2010. Jake Wood, the founder, CEO and founder, the co-founder at the time, William McNulty, two Marines. I'm a Marine, so there's an apple draw there. They went to Haiti to help, after the earthquake, 2010, right. And grew from there. They were going to be an international organization, a lot of medics, medical type stuff. And in 2011, unknown to me, I was the state coordinating officer, but Alabama just got smacked in the mouth with 64 tornadoes, killed 250 Alabamians that day. It was a very bad disaster. And that was Team Rubicon's first domestic mission in Tuscaloosa. Oh, okay. So the team's grown from there, but we're a nonprofit. We don't take any federal dollars as most nonprofits, but what we are, we're 120,000 volunteers. We call our volunteers gray shirts. We're primarily veteran focused. About 70% of our volunteers or veterans are veterans. And then we have just some great first responders and civilians that want to get involved with the team. We're built on culture. Culture's king. and a lot of that has a military theme to it. Again, we've got 120,000 volunteers, roughly about 200 full-time employees. We've grown substantially. Hurricane Harvey, was a big growth for the team.
Sure.
But what we bring to the table, so a disaster survivor needs 100 things, Mike. Team Rubicon is going to bring 5 of those. So we want to bring our partners with us. We want to work in close coordination and collaboration with the other partners. But, some of our skill sets are incident management. We do damage assessment. We help. Matter of fact, we've got one of our, and you'll hear me refer to our team as gray shirts. I'm wearing mine. I don't know if we're on video, but I got mine on. And,
Yep.
we've got one of our gray shirts in Calcasieu Parish EMA right now, emergency management. We got her in there, and she's helping coordinate efforts on the ground for what we do. So we do that piece of it. We come in self-sustained. All we need is really, a church, piece of land. We can live in austere environments. Our volunteers are used to it. You think of some of the environments they've lived in while in uniform.
Sure.
So it's a natural fit there. We believe that service gene that a veteran may have, and first responders and American civilians for that matter have, fits nicely into our mission. So, we offer the opportunity for veterans to continue that service and to give back to the communities, because that's really what it's all about. We do debris removal. So, we piloted in Hurricane Laura, and I can go in depth in that, our route clearance package, where myself and David Burke, our senior vice president, we went down to Lake Charles, obviously working through GOSEP, which is the Louisiana Emergency Management Agency. Director Wascom and his team was great to us. They pushed us down to Lake Charles, gave us some good contacts down in Calcasieu Parish. So we rode the storm out that night, which I can tell you the power of a Category 4 storm is real.
Oh, yeah.
It will, keep you on your toes. But as soon as light cleared, we met our team who drove in from the west with heavy equipment and sawyers, our saw operators that are highly trained. We were already linked in with local law enforcement, so we began that morning cutting roads. Cut and toss, right? Clear roads for emergency access. That mission continues. We ended up getting embedded with the Lake Charles Fire Department, helping them out. So we bring that quick strike capability. As that's going on, we build up what we call our FOBs, our forward operating bases. We now have 3 in Calcasieu Parish. Our next wave of gray shirts will hit the ground tomorrow. We'll be 100 strong in Calcasieu Parish. We'll start doing, working with homeowners. We want to go into the not just the hardest hit damage areas, Mike, but we want to focus on those areas with the highest social vulnerability,
Sure.
those areas that need it the most. So, we've got a lot of technology that helps us focus our direction in that. So we'll go in, start tarping roofs and working with the homeowners that need those services. One of the things we did in this storm that you'll understand it being, an emergency manager, but the EMA director, Dick Cremillion, he's long-standing EMA director there in the parish. His team's been going at it, right? They haven't even popped their head out to see what's going on. So we said, look, give us your A team, give us your addresses. Let us go by and do some wellness checks on your home. And we supported some debris operations to clear off their, get their properties, where they can focus on what they need to be focused on, which is, providing those resources to the community. So, that's a lot of the work we're now setting up in Orange County, Texas as well to do very similar missions. But, we really wanted to push in early on this one and test some of our capabilities. And we feel like we've got the right mix. We bring people from all over the country into very difficult environments that may have never worked together, form teams, and really, one of our core values is, and Mike, I'm gonna say it has written, is get shit done, and that's what we're about. But you got to do that safely. You got to do it in coordination, and you don't just go out and cowboy, your way in. But you also have to have a little bit of that mentality, because things aren't always going to be, like the plan says it is. You got to adjust and.
Yeah, it's never like the plan.
Yeah.
So let me ask you about that integration, because the way you phrased it, I thought was spot on. You don't want to cowboy it, but because you do as an NGO need to integrate with the incident management team. But once you've got that integration done and you've got that credibility built, for lack of a better term to put it. You get the credibility with whoever the incident manager is. How do you guys go about pre-disaster? Like, how do you start building that kind of relationship beforehand? Because I harp on people, build your relationships before that proverbial shit hits the fan. Build it now. How do you go about doing that?
So we have an initiative that started after Harvey called Resilient Cities. And what we believe in that, and resilience is a word that's used
I know, right,
time and time again, and 8 million different definitions. But to cut to the point is, there's 21 million veterans. I believe that's the last number across the country, but there's 330 million citizens. How do we form those organic teams at the local level? Every disaster starts and ends locally. So, building, when we say a resilient city, what we want to do is contribute to the city's ability to quickly rebound. So having trained gracers, I have to point out, all of our volunteers that deploy for overnight operations, they all go through a background check first and foremost. They have to take ICS 100 and 700, so they have basic knowledge of incident command. And then there's some internal courses that we do. For our incident field leader staff, our incident management teams, they have to have the in-person ICS 300 and 400. So very well versed. That helps. You got to speak the language. Emergency management's acronyms are worse than the military's, right? You can speak for days in acronyms and nobody knows what the hell you're saying. But so, having that knowledge. And then, so, what you said, I get asked all the time, Mike, I'm sure, what's the best tool for an emergency manager? You can have all the whiz-bang stuff in the world, but it's all about relationships and partnerships. It is all about relationships and partnerships. So one of the initiatives we're doing as we move forward, one of the initiatives that was put on my plate, which I'm glad it was, is to build out our emergency operations center presence, to build those out. And, from a full-time perspective, we won't be able to cover every state full-time, but we got volunteer leaders. In some states, we're going to start, obviously, Florida, Texas, Louisiana, the Gulf Coast, where we know it's not a matter of if, it's when. California is a state. But, we want to have that presence with the emergency manager at the state level, the emergency manager at the and the VOAD, volunteer organizations active in disaster at the state level. With the goal in mind, Mike, we are convinced, I don't have a time frame to put on this, but I think that we can have a gray shirt in every county and parish in America. And that's the intent, just to be an added resource to that community, when it hits. So many disasters are low attention. So many disasters have FEMA presence. And that's really when the NGOs should be there. That's where we step up to the plate. So gaining that situational awareness on where our need is and then pushing in those gray shirts. So, relationships 365 days a year. So, we want to use what we've learned and keep pushing that and then build champions, champions for Team Rubicon that can, let everybody, let the county, the IEMs and the NEMAs, which are the associations, that, let them know what we can do and bring to the table while managing expectations. We're volunteer led. There's certain things that we can't do. And I tell you what's been our biggest challenge is doing all this in a COVID environment. Our first and foremost is safety of our volunteers, safety to the communities we're serving and the communities we're going back in. So, we shifted focus during COVID and did missions and operations that we've never done before, feeding operations, helping with mobile testing sites. These are things that are not in our core operations, so to speak, but the agility that we bring, our core strength, Mike, is flexibility. We're going to flex to get to yes. And then we're going to execute, to help people.
Right. Which is what the government oftentimes cannot do. They can't get to yes. And they need some organization that can get to yes for them.
Yeah. It is, and people get frustrated at that, but the government has laws and procedures, and you're sworn to uphold those laws, like the Stafford Act.
Yeah. So
when I made that decision, I was extremely excited because the handcuffs, so to speak, aren't necessarily there when you get in this world. I was able to put on with volunteers. It wasn't me. I was my skill set that I bring in the field's a laborer one, so I can carry stuff and nail stuff real good. But it was funny. I shot a text back to Brock, was on it, having approved millions of dollars at the state and federal level for blue roof missions, right? For the
Right.
tarp.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Tuesday of this week, I put on a blue tarp. First time, and I said, I've gone
You
full
actually put on a blue tarp. I love
put
it.
on a blue tarp for
Yeah.
an elderly couple that just, just needed help. And we committed and, jumped up on the roof. The Southwest Louisiana, this time of the year, it's, 104 degrees in
Oh,
the
yeah.
day. Good thing is at night, we slept first 8 nights or first 5 nights without air conditioning. So the good thing is it drops down to about 98 degrees at night,
Right.
90% humidity. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it was, I said, man, I've gone full circle from approving blue roof missions to putting one on.
To
And it
put one on. I love it.
never felt better in my life. It was
Yeah.
great.
Good for you. Good
Yeah,
for you.
great.
Want to keep up with Michael Brown and his various shows? Find him on Spreaker, Michael Brown Unplugged, or on iHeartRadio. You can also stream his daily AM radio shows on KHOW and KOA.
So if people listening to the podcast want to learn more about Team Rubicon, what do you suggest they do? How do they go about doing it?
Yeah, I mean, first go to our website, teamrubiconusa.org. You can also, if you want to help us, so two things, let me just real quick, two things
Sure.
that make us work.
Sure.
We need volunteers.
Yep.
And commit their time, and there's nothing more precious than time. So those volunteers that commit time, whether it's Team Rubicon or any other NGO, it's just to me it's hero work. And then we need money to fuel that. And what we're seeing, Mike, and I'm so appreciative of inviting us on. Hurricane Laura is not even in the news.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the strongest storm to hit Louisiana since 1856.
Right.
It was a Category 2 when it went over Shreveport.
Yeah.
People are hurting, And
How many do you think are still without power?
Oh, I would say roughly 200,000. Look, the water's still not up to usable function. Lake Charles, Calcasieu Parish, Cameron Parish, Beauregard Parish, they're all without power. And you see that by the fatalities keep growing because generators. And please, get that word out. Use your generators safe, but. So, we need some attention. And I have to say this, I think it's been a success, which, I know there was a lot of eyes on it, but the last number I got, Mike, was 17,000 in non-congregate sheltering. So, the hotel program that was put in for COVID is working. But what that also prevents is what all too well, and we all know all too well, is the media shots of those large congregate shelters where people are suffering. You're just not seeing that. So I guess people think, well, everything's okay. It's not okay down there. It is. It is one of the disasters I've worked that I would say this is a humanitarian issue more than a disaster because people don't have places to go to the bathroom. They don't have, without air conditioning down there, it'd be like being in Boston without heat, in February, right? It can be a life and death situation. Appreciate you asking that. You can, text the word Rubicon to 20222 to donate $10. You can text the word team to the same number to donate $25. But I also encourage everybody to go to our website, teamrubiconusa.org. You can find out about it, find out about the organization and step into the arena and earn your gray shirt and get to work, So,
do that and give some money.
Yeah.
Do both.
That's it. Do both. Yeah.
Do both.
Do both. As you know, I'll never forget working storms in Alabama and the donated goods come in and it's very great, but snowshoes in Alabama aren't going to help us.
They don't.
I mean, it's great that somebody thought we may need snowshoes down there. So
I'll never forget the 10,000 or more boots that we received at Ground Zero.
Yeah.
Which unsorted, no idea what size they were, what to do with them. Finally gave them away to the homeless.
I mean, it's, so I would encourage, folks that want to help, monetary donations to an organization will go a long way. We're very transparent with our money. We, our other thing is your mother's a donor. We treat every dollar as if our mom gave it to us because sometimes moms are giving to us, we want to stretch that as far as we can go to help those in need. So I would encourage the website. And then, we've got to continue to get embedded with local emergency management, state emergency management. The sooner we can get up and running, the sooner we can start helping folks in conjunction with what the efforts that the state, local, and federal agencies are doing.
Well, to the extent that Blue Cell could ever help you get embedded with some of these, EOCs or whatever, we'd be more than happy to help you do
Sure.
that. Because from my point of view, it's always everybody wants to get involved, but you have to come with some credibility, and you have to come with, here's what I can do. Here's what I can do to take the pressure off of you. And sometimes, the best time to do that, to build that relationship, is not in the middle of the disaster. It's before the disaster happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And Mike, to that point, the last thing we want to do and will do is overburden the community we go into. It does no community good to say, hey, we're here to help. 5 minutes later, you're saying, hey, do you have fuel? Do you have food?
Yeah.
My people are hot. Like I said, all we need is space, and we got a team. I mean, we come in and set it up, and if we don't have that, we'll just, we'll tough it out till we get it. Our volunteers are very, again, used to that, your discomfort is not near what the discomfort of the citizens you're helping in those times are. You're going to go back to a home. They're not.
Oh, yeah.
And when you have that mentality, it puts it in perspective a lot better. And I tell you what, Mike, we'd love to get you out on an op, get you in a gray shirt.
Well, but send me a shirt and I'll show up.
There you go.
I'll show up and do whatever you tell me to do.
That's it. That's another thing I love. I don't have to really manage when I go out there. I just, like I said, I'm a laborer one.
Yeah.
And you tell me what to pick up, and I'll pick it up.
I'll go pick it up and move it, whatever I need to do. Yeah. So, Jeff, before we quit, and again, thanks for taking the time today, but give out those text numbers again.
Yeah, let me do that. So text the word Rubicon, Rubicon, to 20222 to donate $10. If you want to donate $25, text the word team to the same number, 20222. And then visit our website, teamrubiconusa.org.
Great. Jeff, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Really appreciate it, Mike, and happy to circle back with you.
Yeah, it's good to see.
As we go.
Good to see you again, and at least meet virtually again.
Yes, no doubt.
Even though it might be 16 years later or whatever, we won't talk about that.
No, not at all. Thank you.
The Blue Cell and the Michael Brown Show on BCR thank the following advertisers and collaborators: